안녕하세요 여러분, 저는 Jenny예요. Hello everyone, my name is Jenny, and today we're going to be starting part 2 of what will quickly become the bane of your existence, indirect speech. This is specifically verbs, statements. Not verb suggestions, not commands, not questions. It is statements only. In the last video, you learned 타고 했어요 for adjective statements. This video is for verb statements, so you need to know if what you're conjugating is a verb or an adjective because they are conjugated differently. If your verb stem ends in a consonant, you will be using 는다고 했어요. So the computer I have does not have a Hangul keyboard downloaded, and I'm too lazy to do that, so pretend that is in Hangul. 저는 걱정하지 않아요. Or let's just actually drop the 저는. Let's just say 걱정하지 않아요. This is what Andy said. This is the original sentence. So in an indirect speech form, you'll say 안디 씨가 걱정하지 않는다고 했어요. Andy said that he doesn't worry. If the verb stem ends in a vowel, use 니은다고 했어요. So this is the original sentence over here by 지훈. 초록색을 좋아해요. I like the color green. 지훈 씨가 초록색을 좋아한다고 했어요. 지훈 said that he likes the color green. If you are conjugating a real irregular verb, you have to be careful. You'll be dropping the real and ending 니은다고 했어요. So 지훈 씨가 신촌에 산다고 했어요. 지훈 said that he lives in 신촌. Past tense, I think, is still pretty easy. You use past tense if the original spoken sentence was also in past tense, like this one. If it was spoken in present tense, you use the present tense form. So, 차다고 했어요 instead of 찼다고 했어요. Okay? This is only, past tense is only used if the original sentence was also in past tense. 좋아했다고 했어요. 마셨다고 했어요. 먹었다고 했어요. 왔다고 했어요. 찼다고 했어요. 배웠다고 했어요. 살았다고 했어요. and 들었다고 했어요. 나쁜 꿈을 꿨어요 is what Andy said. I had a bad dream. I dreamt a bad dream. An indirect speech form is going to include 자기. You cannot say 저는, you cannot say 제가, because you are not the person that had that dream. To specify that it was Andy himself that had the dream, use the third person pronoun 자기. 안디 씨는 자기가 나쁜 꿈을 꿨다고 했어요. As opposed to Andy saying that Mina had a bad dream. In which case that would be 안디 씨는 미나 씨가 나쁜 꿈을 꿨다고 했어요. But in this case it is the speaker himself who had the bad dream, so use 자기. Welcome back to Andy's advice. Woo! 미에코 씨가 제 방송이 재미없다고 해서 오늘은 재미있는 타료를 많이 준비했어요. Cannot say that word. 미에코 씨 said that my 방송, my broadcast, is not interesting, it's not fun. So today I prepared a lot of 재미있는 타료. Interesting materials. There we go. Today, I want to mention something that might help you understand indirect speech form a little bit better. 자, 봅시다. Within the structure of indirect speech forms, you will also find something called the plain form or the diary form. So here you can see a full list of indirect speech forms. That's in boldface. Plain form, diary form is in the highlight. So you can see it's kind of like fit in there in the beginning of the indirect speech forms. So, 준비한다고 했어요. I said I was, or he said he was preparing. 배운다고 했어요. He said he was learning. 가르친다고 했어요. He said he was teaching. The plain form is 준비한다, 배운다, 가르친다. These are also regular examples here at the bottom. 듣는다, 듣는다고 했어요. 걷는다, 걷는다고 했어요. 만든다, 만든다고 했어요. And 연다, 연다고 했어요. Why am I telling you this? Why am I mentioning this to you now? It is not what you're going to be tested on. It's not what you're going to be quizzed on. However, you will be encountering this plain form diary form if you start reading things on your own, and if you're going to be introduced to it, this is a good place to introduce it because it kind of fits in nicely with the indirect speech form, and you're around the level where you might be reading things on your own, and even just knowing of this existence might help you understand what you're reading a little bit better. So this diary form, this plain form, is Korea's established format for writing formally. So you'll see it in essays, in news articles, or example sentences in textbooks. Maybe not our textbooks because they are still using the conjugated form for things, or the dictionary form, but in other textbooks, in example sentences, other textbooks in Korean, you will see this form. You can use this form in speech when you're directing it at yourself. So if you're making an exclamation or if you're just talking out loud to yourself, you can use this form. You can also use it when you're talking to friends in like casual statements. And you can also use it if you're just talking to no general audience in particular, which is the case with essays and news articles. It is not impolite, even though it doesn't have the ayo, oyo, heo or 씁니다 form. It is not impolite if it is used in the right context. It doesn't have politeness levels because there's no specific audience. It's not really intended for anyone in particular. You don't know who's going to be picking up your essay or reading a news article, so they just drop those politeness levels. It also makes things a lot shorter to read. It also uses the plain form pronouns. So instead of saying 저, they use 나. Instead of 저는, it's 나는. They both mean I, but they have different like humbleness levels associated with them. This is a screenshot from an actual news article from 중앙일보, right here. I don't know if you can see that, but all the sentences in this news article end with the plain form, with diary form. So 받는다, dictionary form is 받다, to accept. 받는다 is the diary form, so accepts. Let's see, what else is there? 13일이다. It is the 13th day. So next month, 13th day. 이다. Instead of 이에요, 이다 is the dictionary form. Or here, 볼 수 있다 is able to see. 볼 수 있다. Instead of 볼 수 있어요. So if you start reading news articles like this, you will be seeing this form. An interesting thing about this form is that adjectives appear to be in dictionary form. So 있다, 예쁘다. We know this as the dictionary form for both verbs and adjectives. And then you usually have to conjugate it into something else. However, adjectives dictionary form is the same thing as plain form for adjectives. Same form. So you might see 있다 at the end of a sentence and be like, why did they not conjugate that verb? Why is it 있다? Why isn't it 있어요? It is conjugated, but it's in the plain form, which just happens to be identical to dictionary form. So don't get confused. It is conjugated. It's just not the way that you're used to seeing. If we make these indirect speech statements, which is what you're actually learning in this video, you can say 있다고 했어요 or 예쁘다고 했어요. This is the adjective. For verbs, you do have to conjugate it differently for both indirect statements and diary form. So instead of 받다, to receive, it becomes 받는다고 했어요 or 받는다. 주문한다, receives. 주문한다고 했어요. He said he ordered. I translated that wrong. 주문하다 is to order. 받다 is to receive. So 주문하다, dictionary form. 주문한다, plain form. 주문한다고 했어요, indirect speech form. 하지만, go back. 하지만 너무 걱정하지 마세요. But don't worry too much about this. 이 문법은 중요하지 않으니까 나중에 배우면 돼요. This grammar is not that important, so it's okay to learn it later. You should just be familiar with its existence right now. You don't need to learn it. You don't need to become fluent in it. So let's get back to what we are actually learning. 지금은 다른 재미있는 것을 볼까요? Should we look at some other interesting things now? 오늘 아침에 아주 재미있는 대화를 들었어요. I heard a really interesting dialogue this morning. 이리나 씨가 지연 씨하고 리안 씨하고 영국 보러 가기로 했는데요. Irina, Jihyun, and Lian planned to go see a performance, a 연극. 지현 씨는 왜 아직 안 왔어요? Why isn't Jihyun here yet? 늦는다고 했어요? Did he say he'd be late? 아니요, 안 온다고 했어요. No, he said he wasn't coming. 오지 않는다고 했어요. Note that 않다, when it's used with the verb, is 않는다고 했어요. If it's used with an adjective, it becomes 않다고 했어요. So, 오지 않는다고 했어요 versus 예쁘지 않다고 했어요. Because verb versus adjective. 왜요? 우리가 티켓을 이미 샀는데요. Why? We already bought our tickets. 누군가를 만나야 한다고 했어요. He said he had to meet someone. 근데요, but, by the way, 어제 지훈 씨 핸드폰을 했을 때, while 지훈 was on his phone yesterday, 여자와 통화하고 있었어요. He was talking on the phone with a woman. 예슬 씨는 지훈 씨의 전 여자친구가 미국에서 한국으로 돌아온다고 했어요. This is a bit long, but you can still understand it. So, this is a person, 예슬 씨. Someone named 예슬. 예슬 said that Jihoon's ex-girlfriend, 전 여자친구, returned from the US to Korea. 미국에서 한국으로. From US to Korea. 돌아온다고 했어요. Said she returned. 지훈 씨는 전 여자친구랑 만날 거예요? Do you think Jihyun's gonna meet with his ex-girlfriend? 글쎄요. I don't know. 고등학교 때 사귀었어요. They dated when they were in high school. 아직도 사랑할까요? Could they still love each other? 예슬 씨가 그 여자가 돈도 많고 똑똑하다고 했어요. 똑똑하다, to be smart, is an adjective. 예슬 said that that woman has a lot of money and is smart. 저기 지연 씨가 아니에요? 맞아요. Isn't that Jihyun over there? It is. And also me, apparently. 다음 날, the next day. 어제 지은 씨하고 예쁜 여자를 봤어요. We saw Jihyun yesterday with a pretty girl yesterday. In this case, like Jihyun she would be kind of translated as you. We saw you yesterday with a pretty girl. 되게 친해 보였어요. 되게 is like really. You looked really close. Like you looked really friendly together. 둘이 사귀는 거죠? You're dating, right? 둘이 사귀는 거죠? You're dating, right? 그 사람은 제 여자친구가 아니에요. That person is not my girlfriend. 미국에서 온 사촌인데요. It is my cousin that came from the US. These are some modifying forms you have in there. So 미국에서 온 is modifying 사촌, which is cousin. My cousin that came from the US. 다른 사람들이 오해하기 전에, before other people misunderstand, 설명해 드릴게요. I will explain. 제 사촌 서강대학교에서 1년 동안 공부하고 있지만 한국어를 잘 몰라서 도움이 필요했어요. My cousin is studying at 소강대학교, Sogang University for 1 year, 1년 동안 공부하고 있지만 She's studying at SOGANG University for 1 year, but 한국어를 잘 몰라서 because she doesn't know Korean that well, 도움이 필요했어요. She needed help. 도움 is the noun version of 돕다, to help. So 도움 is like the noun form of help. 도움이 필요했어요. She needed help. 아, 그래요? Oh, really? I bet they feel kind of embarrassed. 하지만 this is not the right. Oh, there we go. 지은 씨는 미혼이라서 아쉬워요. 아쉽다 is to be ashamed. To be like, oh, that's too bad. 미혼 is single. Because 지훈 is single, it's really a shame. 빨리 결혼해야 하겠죠? He should probably get married fast, right? It's not like he's getting any younger. 앤디 씨는 모태솔로인데요. 모태솔로 is kind of a slang word. That means from birth. Since your mother's womb, you have been solo. 모태솔로. Since birth, single for life. Never dated anyone. It can be used in like a mean way, but some people say it in not a mean way. I think in this case, he's using it kind of in a mean way. So 앤디 씨는 모태솔로인데요. But Andy, you're single since birth. You've never dated anyone. 미나 씨가 앤디 씨를 거절했다고 들었어요. 사실이에요? I heard that Mina rejected you, Andy. Is that true? 거절했다고 했어요. 사실이에요? 방송 빨리 끝납시다. Let's quickly end this broadcast. That is it for this lesson. 잘했어요. 다음에 봐요. See you later.